5.4 exponential logs and logs. So right now, this first six are all review. So I want you to pause the video and try to do these first six by yourself. So this is what those first six look like. Check your work. If there are any questions, make sure you ask them in class. So question 2. Same thing here though. If we have our two bases the same, we can set these two equal to each other. So this negative x squared is equal to this negative 3x minus 4. I'm going to add over the x squared because if I have two terms, this is where I'm probably going to have to factor to solve. So if I factor this, would this be x minus 4, x plus 1. So I get x is equal to 4 and negative 1. Now this is where you have to be careful. In this problem, we can have 4 and negative 1 because when we have exponential, our domain for exponential is all real numbers. So my two answers here are 4 and negative 1. For this, now this is not going to be as easy. So the first step, I'm going to get rid of this multiplication. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So if I do 42 divided by 3, I get 2 to the x is equal to 14. So now what I can do, I can rewrite this as exponential, or because this is an exponential base, I can do log base 2 on this side. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. These two bases will cancel each other out, leaving me with x is equal to log base 2 of 14. Now there's two ways that you can plug this into your calculator. You can either do, remember that common base, so log of the number divided by log of the base, or else you can push the math button right there. And if you go to the math button, not everyone has this log base, but if you do, you should use it. Log base 2 of 14. For both the answers, if I asked for the nearest, it usually is 4 decimal spots. It would be looking like this. Pew, 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 pew. So same type of thing here. Now I want it approximated to 3 decimal spots. So first step is to subtract that 5. So this is giving me a 55. Again, my log base here is e. So my natural log on one side, natural log on the other side. These two bases cancel out. So x is equal to, and because I'm asking for 3 decimal spots, your natural log is right here. So natural log of 55 would be equal to 4.007. Pause the video and try to do B by yourself right now. Now, from this moment, this is some number. I do not want you to put this in your calculator until the very end. So I'm going to put parentheses around this. This is some number. We need to get that t by itself. The opposite of subtraction. Again, opposite of PEMDAS. So I'm going to add this 5 to it. And then I would take this whole thing to get rid of this multiplication and divide by 2. Now, some people, if you wanted to take it step by step, that's fine. But how would I type this into my calculator? There's a couple ways because of this division. Some of you might just want to push enter. So log base 3 of 15 divided by 2. You could push enter at that moment, but notice I went outside the parentheses and then plus 5. Then divide that by 2. That's one way you could do it. You put the whole shebang into your calculator if you want alpha y equals to get to your fraction. And then do my log. Again, let's say if I do log of the big right here, and then divided by log of my base number, which is base 3, and then take that number and add 5 to it, and then divide by 2. I should get that same number. So there's multiple ways. As long as you know how to use your calculator, it says to 3 decimal spots, 417. Bing, bada, boom. So now example 4 is a little bit different. Now I have 2 different x's, but I can rewrite this. This can kind of look like e to the x squared minus 3 times e to the x plus 2. Now, when I rewrite it, maybe you can see it easier now. This term is squared. This is by itself, and then I have a number right here. So I can actually factor this because it's the same thing as if this was x squared minus 3x plus 2. So if I had to think of two numbers that multiply to get positive 2, add together to get negative 3, this first term, when I split that up, is e to the x. So e to the x times e to the x is e to the x squared. And then I would minus 1 and minus 2. So when I set those both equal to 0 to solve for them, because I'm looking for the actual number to figure out what x is equal to, so e to the x is equal to, minus 2. So I add over the 1, add over the 2, add over the 1, add over the 2. The reason I'm doing it at the same time is because at this point, I would take the natural log of both sides. This does not say to round, so my two answers would be x is equal to the natural log of 1 and x is equal to the natural log of 2, because when you're doing the same base, those two cancel. So right now I want you to solve the first two to the nearest 4 decimal spots. Solve the first two. So again, as long as you match up your bases, or you can rewrite this. This says base e. So if I rewrote this would be e squared is equal to x. Either way, you get e squared, and over here you get x is equal to 2. You can leave this as e squared. If you have this in your decimal spots, that's okay too. Here, now because they're all log base 6, what I first want to do, kind of like this one over here, the first thing I want to do is rewrite this equation. So my properties of log, so this is log base 6. This whole thing is positive, so this 3x plus 14. Because I'm subtracting here, I'm taking log base 6 of 5. So now that's divided by 5 is equal to this log base 6 of 2x. So now because these log base 6's are the same, I can set 3x plus 14 over 5 equal to 2x. So right now I want you to pause the video and finish solving that problem. And you should have gotten that 2 is equal to x. For D, I want you to try to pause the video and get this by itself. Again, you always want to get that log by itself first. And for this one, you should have e raised to the negative 1/2. Again, you could put that into your calculator and got that into the nearest decimal. And finally, I want you to try to do e by yourself. So one thing I did differently with e is I rewrote this in exponential form. If you notice over here, or maybe it was the last problem, I did 5 raised to this side. Oh, this e value. I did e raised to this side because that's my base. I could also just rewrite it. I could have done, okay, 5 raised to this, making this my exponent so that those are the same, and then these two cancel. Either way you do it, you should get 25 over 3. Now, question number 6 is asking for extraneous solutions. So first I'm going to write this as one single log. So I have log, and then I have my 5x times x minus 1 is equal to 2. My first step is getting rid of this log. So I can do, my base here is 10, so I can rewrite this in exponential form. So this would be 10 to the second power is equal to, and I'm going to distribute that at 5x squared minus 5x. Now, if I need to solve this, I have to first set this equal to 0. So this becomes 5x squared minus 5x minus 100, because 10 squared is 100. And now I can factor out a 5, leaving me with x squared minus x minus 20. When I'm looking at this, I have 5, and I have x minus 5, x plus 4 equal to 0. So my two answers are x is equal to 5 and negative 4, because you set those both equal to 0. This is where you have to check your domain. Again, this is where you have vertical asymptotes. I didn't move left or right here. This vertical asymptote is going to be at 0, so anything to the right of 0. This moves it to the right 1 because it's opposite, so this is to the right 1. So this is saying in this domain is anything to the right. That means anything to the left of 1 is not in this domain. So when I'm looking at these two answers, negative 4 is to the left of 1, so my only one and only answer is x is equal to 5. I want you to try to do b by yourself right now. So you should have gotten 10 and negative 1. Pause the video and look over my work if you need to. But when you're doing this now, this is saying anything to the right of 0, because that's my vertical asymptote here, or anything to the right of 9, because this is moving to the right 9, so anything to the right of 9. So negative 1 does not fit in that domain. So this answer is just x is equal to 10. And finally, you invest this much money into the interest rate compounded continuously. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. So this is going to be a PERT question, compounded continuously. How long will it take to double your money? So first, when I'm writing this up, 500 is my P. My E is already there. My rate, remember, you have to move it 2 times to the left to make it into a percent. 0.0675 is asking for how long in order to double. Well, if I double this, that means that this is equal to 1,000. So I want you to try to pause the video and try to do this one by yourself before you look for my answer. So first you divide by the 500. Once you divide by the 500, then you can take the natural log, because my base here is e. Natural log of e on both sides, leaving me with just my exponent. So I have to take that log, natural log of 2 divided by 0.0675, and that would give me about, I'm going to say 10.27 years in order to double your money. There you go. Bing, bada boom. Have a wonderful day.